The government has decided to completely transform the country's border security arrangements. This was announced by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. In the days to come, a quadrangular security grid will be established under which the public, the civil administration, the local police and the military will work alongside the border security force to strengthen the borders. The minister said at the inauguration of the 2 border outposts at Bhuj in Gujarat. This initiative would entail a primary responsibility shared among the public, the civil administration, the local police and the military, alongside the BSF. Amit Shah expressed confidence that the deployment of drones, radars, watchtowers, state-of-the-art technology and security personnel under the project, which entails investment of thousands of crores of rupees, will result in the creation of robust security grids. Once established, no one will dare to breach India's borders. Joining me now is Air Marshal Ravi Gopal Krishna Kapoor. He is a PVSM, AVSM, VM, former Air Officer Commanding in Chief, Central Air Command. Air Marshal Kapoor, a very warm welcome and an honor to speak with you. I want to, of course, begin by your opening comments on this big development, because this is the need of the hour when it comes to our border security.
And thank you for having me on the show. Yes, all of us know that India, shares more than 15,000 kilometers of border with 7 nations. And ever since our independence, we have had 2 nations with whom we have very active border dispute, and that border dispute is still going on. So what happens on the border and what happens within the nation are very, very closely interconnected and interlinked. And that is why with the changing, scenario, technologies coming in, the threats have multiplied in many ways. And hence, it no more becomes a single agency responsibility to tie in what is happening on the border and what is happening within the nation. And so it is a step in the right direction, where the responsibilities are shared amongst all stakeholders. There is a clear communication, lines of communication, chain of command, chain of control, and action which needs to be taken at the fastest pace. And so all this needs integration of agencies and technologies. We all know that our borders are very porous, and every inch of our border cannot be monitored by a single agency or a single source or a single technology. So you need human, you need radars, you need cameras, you need drones, you need satellites, and all these agencies, and finally the human intelligence part also. And so when all of these data which are coming to different agencies, they need to be collated, analyzed and shared in almost real time. Only then can we take action. We have seen in Jammu and Kashmir how important it is for the public, common public, to keep their eyes and ears open, and how quickly, if they give an information, how quickly can the correct agency act. And that is why I think this quadrangular solution which the Home Minister has proposed is extremely important in our context.
Air Marshal Kapoor, I also want to ask you that what lessons can now India draw from global border security models that rely heavily on technology, other than what's being done?
Yes, I don't think there is any nation which has borders like us, which has threats like us. But yes, and also terrain like us. So I don't think there is any nation we can even think about trying to take lessons from. But yes, technology is being used in US on its southern borders and on its maritime borders. Technologies are being used by nations in Europe as well as others. China itself uses a lot of technology in collating what its border troops do and what its actual army does, and how it monitors its own public and the media. And so we can take the best part out of all these nations. And only when we have a multi-agency center which is actually able to collate this data, analyze, and in almost in real time take action. Just to give an example, let us say there's an aircraft which is entering our airspace, and we want to know the identity of every individual who is on that aircraft, and we want to go through the entire antecedents of that individual, of each individual. And let's say we find some individual who is not meeting the requirements of our immigration, then what do we do? And that we should be proactive. It cannot happen when the aircraft lands and after the aircraft is landed, we start taking actions. So this is an example that some nations do while ensuring that even though it's a kind of a normal inbound passenger traffic, they still monitor who's coming in and who's not authorized or who's not cleared or who is suspect in this whole process of coming in. We've heard of how people try and cross border in migration, in drug trafficking, and the kind of actions that in the recent time US has taken against these boats which are illegally taking drugs into US. And so the same thing we also face on our maritime borders. And so we can use those, we can find those technologies, we can use those approaches to further strengthen while understanding that we are a unique nation and we have unique requirements because we have very, very belligerent neighbors in some cases.
Right, Marshal Kapoor, and my final question to you is that in your view, what are the biggest operational hurdles that could affect the implementation of such an ambitious project?
I think the biggest hurdle that we are going to face is integrating all the sensors and all the agencies onto a single grid while understanding, especially when we talk about military, civil, police and central armed police force like BSF. Because all these agencies have a different protocol, they have a different chain of command, they have different mechanism to control process of information, they have different networks. And so to integrate all of them and bring them onto a single network where we are sharing only the relevant information for the border management and internal security is going to be the biggest challenge that we are going to face going forward.
And with that, Marshal Kapoor, thank you so much for your time on NewsX today.